The following session recording is brought to you by Vulcan Real Estate.
Thank you, Rick. Well, I didn't restrain our crew quite as much. We're from Calgary, Alberta in the north, so sometimes the cold air clarifies our minds. So, as we considered the ideas, I'm going to show you a video that we prepared, 2 minutes, that we prepared that helped us to win this competition. It's a great honor to NAIOP, and we thank you. So watch this video, and then I'll try to explain it.
Distribution is broken. Retail distribution is a fundamental part of urban development and economic well-being, yet it is hindered by slow lead times, inefficient transport of goods, and poor inventory management. In an age of rapid technological innovation, we still rely on an archaic distribution model, a global network of retailers, warehouses, factories, and the means of transporting product between them. Our framework for transporting goods has gone unchanged for decades, yet we have seen the internet drastically change the way we consume information. Now is the time to rethink our distribution network. Swarm structures represent a challenge to the traditional static model of a transport network. Instead of massive disparate warehouses, it uses a framework of intelligent hubs to streamline delivery of consumer and material goods within the system. These swarms are built upon a tight integration of smart internal and external transportation networks with light rail transit at their core. At the base of these buildings, LRT lines serve as the main transport medium that supplies and moves material between these hubs. At street level, on-demand retail space is present and can be easily modified to give consumers a customized shopping experience. Within the core of the building, material goods are cataloged, stored, and distributed. Swarm commercial and residential space will utilize the prime real estate on the face of the building and connect to the internal transport network. The intelligent systems within the building will integrate seamlessly with the external distribution network, creating a sustainable and efficient transport grid. This is the power of the swarm, a densified, agile framework that can dynamically and intelligently move anything, anywhere, quickly and reliably. This is the building for the future, one that is fundamentally changing the way we interact with and attain material goods, and one with the potential to fulfill a more sustainable and livable future.
Pretty good, eh? So that's why we won. But, so I'm going to go through some of these ideas. We've all shared the experience of going to the store. We've got a product in mind. We get to the store, it's not there. We go to another store, it's out of stock. So we make our way home wondering how we're going to get this product because we've got to have it quickly and seamlessly. So we go to the internet, we find something on the internet we think we want. We push send, it's on its way, and as it's being delivered, we wait. Finally it comes, we get it, we hate it. And we're stuck with it. And as a consumer, we have to find a way to return it to a supplier who doesn't want it back. So as we considered the struggle of the swarm network and how we would make this work, we said, well, let's shorten the distances like the internet is doing. Let's take the retail center and put it right on top of the distribution facility so that we create some synergies between these two ideas. So our concept is really hung on the idea of retail. Retail is the driver. Retail in our society drives everything. Our economies go up and down based on the whims of consumers. And you and I as consumers, our lives are wrapped up in retail. We buy, we sell, we buy, we sell. That is life in the world of business and our life of leisure as well. So there are benefits. So what we're talking about is taking the distribution hub and combining it with the retail in one location. So we'd have to do three things. We have to have intelligent shopping systems, we have to democratize retail, and make the bricks and mortar accessible to e-commerce. So intelligent shopping, what is that? It's taking, mirroring the internet and saying that we're going to take that distribution hub and turn it into a retail center such that, but we have to overlay intelligent technologies to short circuit that. Secondly, democratic retail. Well, what that means is when I go to the store, I see what I want to see and not what the store tells me I should see. So on the internet, I say I want to see this, I want to see this. It appears before me, and everybody around me is doing the same thing, so we get an interesting mix of product available on the retail floor. so that we can explore and see what, so that's a democratic, it opens it up to everyone to be involved in what's on display. Third benefit is that when I'm at home contemplating what I should see or would like to see, I find something I like, I say, I want to see it at the Swarm distribution, the Swarm retail facility. And so there it is, it appears there, I go to the center, I touch and feel it, I like it, I buy it. So they're not just benefits to consumers, they're benefits to the retailer as well. Take, for instance, the scenario of very expensive real estate for retail. If you take some of the centers around the world, the cost per square foot are staggering. The entry ability for the average retailer or manufacturer to be in those places is severely challenging. So what we said, let's devise a concept where anybody could be there at a fraction of the cost, because you've got a great product and it deserves to be in this environment where there's high traffic and a lot of volume. So where we started is we said, let's visualize you're on the floor of our retail center. We have a product that's very, very popular, moves a lot of goods. It sits on the floor permanently. It's going to pay the higher price. So here it is, the time's counting. It never changes, but it can afford to be there because so much product moves, it pays its freight. What if I have a product that is, it's got a very selective clientele? The beauty of the concept is he only has to be on the floor for a short period of time. He's buying the real estate for a fraction of the time, so therefore a fraction of the cost. The Swarm concept is also based on the idea of display with the storage supporting the display in the silo above. So you don't need as much space, so you reduce your unit cost on the floor, resulting in a potential substantial savings. Another concept that would benefit the retailer manufacturer is that he can control his messaging. So we're going to have a digital sales assistant in our model. From a call center-like location, we can have all the sales personnel all together, understanding the message. They communicate directly, seamlessly with their clientele, so they receive the feedback that they need for good or bad or ill about their product and improve it. Now we have to package it. What you're seeing before you is a CCAN, intermodal unit. In it, retail display, you'll see a residential unit, you'll see an office space. The CCAN is ubiquitous. It's on trains stacked 2 high, it's on flatbeds of trucks, it's on boats 10 high. It is the standard mode of transporting goods worldwide. So if we could take that modular size and take these uses and rationalize them such that they fit in the CCAN, and rationalize it such that the building that we put them in, that it can take the CCAN, then we've got something. So we need a CCAN, though, that's intelligent. So from an intelligence, you have to have a system where you take a product, it can be unwrapped, repackaged, taken down to my display floor, put on transit to another center, or shipped to your door, all seamlessly, all quickly, all intelligently. Or you take an office, contract it, expand it, or take a residential unit such that it can fold up, be repackaged, and sent on its way for the snowbirds in Calgary down to sunny San Diego. So there are 2 ideas that we need to talk about. One is the transportation system, and where would we locate these centers? They want to find themselves in the heart of density, where a lot of people around them. The interesting thing about the cores of cities is that there are mature rapid transit systems that already interconnect. And so we would, with light rail and rapid transit, interconnect to the urban milieu, urban environment, such that the main center services a series of subcenters. We would develop a car that piggybacks on the system using it in off-peak hours, which is most of the time, by the way, on rapid transit. And it could transport to subcenters dispersed throughout the center for local display and or to service local delivery. Now, these centers would also be located on primary rail lines. Rail is beautiful. It connects to everything. It connects to the whole world. Rail runs night and day. We don't care what the weather is like. We don't care about congestion. It has an intelligently managed, controlled system that's independent to itself. Now, if we combine rail and light rail, we have a great distribution package. It also has the benefit of being sustainable. So you remove the trucks from the roads between cities, and you remove the trucks from within cities. You reduce the amount of smog and congestion that we suffer from. So we have here one center, and that center connects, of course, to neighboring centers. We would strategically place those so that there's 500 miles, no further apart, so that they can service and understand each other. Remember, this is part of an intelligent network of stored goods. And so one center would service another, such that I could have goods from one center to the other within a very, very short period of time. What we're creating here is not just a center, it is a network of closely interspersed centers that service each other and understand each other, because everything is tagged. So compare that with today's model. You're at a store, the product's not there, they have to restock, resupply. It comes from a warehouse that's either locally, and it may come in quickly, or at some distance. It takes some time. So with the swarm concept, the objective is that is reduced substantially to well below 24 hours. If the product's not already on the floor, it can be there in a short period of time. The objective of that is so people can touch and feel and make that decision about their retail purchase. Of course, I'm an architect, so what does that mean to this? Two concepts. We have to make the vertical circulation system of the building way more robust. It has to be able to deal with the 20-foot dimension of the half-size C-can so that it can go up and down seamlessly and move in and out of the building quickly. Secondly, we need to devise the contents of the building so that they're modular and can be expanded, contracted with incredible ease. There are modular companies building furniture systems today and office systems. They're just starting in the conceptual development of that. That will lead to a flexibility that's unheard of, leading to a term called mutability that we like to call as architects. Now let's look at the pieces. We go down to the base of the building. The circulation systems all have to come together. So we have vertical circulation that interfaces with lateral circulation. We have trucks, light rail, and rail that all have to solve themselves in this base so that we have efficient shipping, receiving, short-term storage and sorting, and queuing of product. Now we also have people coming and going to this facility. This is an urban facility, so we have to deal with people arriving by light rail. We have to deal with people arriving by car. And of course, being in the future, we're going to say that the intelligent parking systems are feasible and practical by that time. So if we come to the driver of this facility, it is the retail. It's the economic driver. It will lead to a very interesting mixed-use facility. So visualize with me for, if you will, a large convention center space with a variety of displays. You've seen those displays. Some are big, some are little. The space has lots of natural light, landscaping. It would remind you of an open-air public market of yesteryear. So when we come onto the floor, we would have thousands of displays. And those displays present on the floor would be there because they're being requested by internet users. So when they come there, it's there. But those thousands of displays could be replaced by thousands more of displays that are stored vertically above the facility or located in the network. So as we visualize what it's like to be on that floor, we have these displays coming and going. Some will be there permanently because the product is so desirable, and they may grow to be substantial in nature. Others will be there short periods of time, but you'll have the digital assistant helping you with your product. The partitions between the units would be digital, such that the environment is customized for each product environment. It'd be crazy, a great place to be. So when we consider how do we do this, it's all dependent on this vertical silo. Now, it's interesting that historically, when rail was the dominant form of transportation, all warehousing was in the center of cities. We have them all over. They're all being converted to lofts today. So we have this intelligent vertical system that moves, manages product, takes it down for display, or ships it abroad in the network for dispersal. it operates all very intelligently. Now, the interesting thing about the core of a building is it's the undesirable real estate of a high-rise. When you take the actual incremental cost of what would it be to expand that space so that I could use it for storage, it's the cost of the slab. That's a comparable cost to the big box and the perimeter. So the real estate is similar. The cost of the electronics clearly is more of a challenge. But one of the things that this core does is that it not only services the retail, but it services and moves product up and down for the perimeter of the building. Now you say the real cost of the high-rise, they're paid for by leasable tenants, the outside donut of our building. So there's your stairs, your passenger elevators, and the expensive skin are already paid for by other tenants, leaving that interior core relatively cost-effective. Now, the perimeter tenants are built on the same basis or conceptual notion. The residential units are all modular. The office units are modular. They use the vertical system to move in and out and to be there one day and not there the next, or to expand or contract as need be. Now, the interior is modular, but the exterior of the building would be permanent. The skin of the building would have an intelligent envelope that deals with daylighting, solar issues, fresh air. The mechanical electrical systems, of course, would also be permanent, but with a plug-and-play mentality such that they interface with the modular system that is devised for the facility. So let's step back for a few minutes and let's look at the concepts we've been talking about. We've been talking about mutability or flexible architecture. The retail particularly is dependent on this notion of adjusting and moving product. The residential has the ability to move and adjust. But the interesting thing about a mutable building, a flexible building, is that it gives us a type of sustainability that is way more than skin deep. So there's nothing more unsustainable than a building that 10 years, 20 years, or 50 years from now has to be demolished. And one of the reasons buildings become static is they don't have the systems in them to move and change them. So the idea here is that the interior of the building can be changed, become repurposed, such that 50 years, 100 years from now, it's just as viable a facility because it's mutating and evolving with the users because the interior can always change for that purpose. Now, sustainability, the benefits here is we've put it in an urban location where we are on rail. Rail is fundamentally sustainable. The users of the building will use rail largely. The requirements for trucks, cars will greatly decrease, cleaning up our air and the congestion in our cities. The other advantage is rail takes us, in most cities and urban centers, right to the center. It opens up the opportunity for this vertical storage silo or vertical warehousing right in the core of our urban centers. It provides an impetus for urban renewal. It would likely be located in rail yards, oftentimes abandoned industrial sites. So there are many great opportunities with this. Now, sustainability, of course, you would be packaging the facility in similar systems to meet high ratings with LEED, but it really does come down to costs. We're talking about a building that baseline, the components of the building are comparable in their actual construction costs to single-purpose buildings of the same use. There are challenges. You've got the infrastructure at base that have to be solved, not figured in this pricing, and the infrastructure of the intelligent movement systems, also not fully figured here. But we're talking about 1 million square feet of mutable real estate as we visualize this concept. Now, some years ago, I had the opportunity of going to Chicago, and those of you who've been there, and you've seen some of those early department stores, well over 100 years old, venerable, beautiful buildings. And in our world of e-commerce, we wonder whether they're going to be around. Yet, I'm not a shopper, but it's great to go face the crowds because I have to touch and feel. To make the decision of the purchase, you've got to touch and feel. That personal interchange, that communication between buyer and seller, that's an experience that's not going away. It's the number one activity that we engage in life. It's not disappearing. So what's going to change is our bricks and mortar stores are going to become way more responsive. to our demands as an internet shopper. Because when we go on the internet, we want to see it now. We want to evaluate it now. We don't want to guess whether or not what we're going to get is going to work for us. But the problem is our distribution systems are not near as robust as they need to be to respond to this kind of open-ended, chaotic requirement of responding to what any individual wants. So what we're talking about with the swarm concept is say I'm a manufacturer. I have my product. I'm not going to build my own warehouse. I'm not going to build my own bricks and mortar. I'm going to rent it. I'm going to rent space on the swarm network. I'm going to have my product distributed and stored in the swarm network and intelligently deployed so that it could be instantly available for any buyer that wants to see my product. Well, as we talked about this internet concept of the future of instant gratification of touch and feel, seemed all too futuristic. Yet, the railroad infrastructure list exists today. It's very sophisticated. The technologies are there to manage and control product. If we could have this kind of concept, if I wanted to sell on the internet, I would feel compelled to be there. So what we're talking about is a concept of retail embedded with distribution, such that we create a distribution fulfillment center of the future. This is the swarm. Thank you.